Hello, San Diego. Good afternoon. Me and Jay Viss are going to go set a couple cams, 2 or 3 cams for one of his spots. Spot we both hunted a few years back, and that's the plan.
So Nick and I hiked down in here. Good little hike, maybe a mile. We hiked down in here. This is a really good spot that I've ran cameras for. I think this is the 3rd or 4th year now. Never actually shot a deer here, but we've had some really good ones on cam. Nick's hunted here a lot, actually more than me. I think my dad's hunted a little, so. But this year I'm excited to hunt here. Check it out. It looks to me, it's real sandy here because we're in a wash, but it does look like this trail is being utilized, which it has been in the past. If you look, like, you can kind of see where it's, you know, a bottom, and there's like, you can kind of see where a path runs through. So I think deer are still using it, and we're gonna put a camera. It's not the perfect spot for a camera, but we're gonna put one basically right here on this tree and get it going. So this camera actually has a broken strap, so you like kind of have to tie it, which sucks. But because this is my San Diego Deer Hunting Handbook series, and video number 1 was about trail cams, in today's video I actually wanted to go back a little bit further and talk about, if you're a brand new hunter, what you need to do just simply to get started. For that, go to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife website, go in there, see about getting a hunter safety certificate, getting a hunting license, getting a tag for a deer, or go to the bow and arrow shop and ask them for advice, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. So California Department of Fish and Wildlife website, or the bow and arrow shop, or if you last resort, DM me. No, I'm playing, but DM me, and any of us will be happy to help you get it figured out and how to get started hunting. But so yeah, we're gonna hang this cam. We got 2 more in the pack, and we'll film a clip when we get those up. Okay, so this is a pretty good spot right here. There's quite a bit of moisture on the ground, like it's cool and kind of soft, and it's thick in this spot this year. I got a bunch of local spots. This is one of them, but this year it's definitely thick. As you can see, Nick and I actually last year, or maybe 2 years ago actually, put in this T-post because there's nowhere great to hang a cam, so we just left this old T-post, and the view is really good for if there's deer here. And one thing that I think is important, I know this series just seems like, okay, we get it, he's talking about cameras a lot these first 2 episodes, but it's because I'm really trying to drive home how much we use these suckers to be successful. It's a huge freaking key. So I'm trying to just show you guys that I'm not just saying run cams. I really run a lot of cams. This is, I think, my, I don't know, 8th one out or something. I think this will be number 8 or 9 that I have out locally right now. So one other important key piece to keep in mind when you're setting a trail cam is like what height you're setting it at and what angle. So like, obviously, because this is on a T-post, it's kind of hard to get super, like, you can't adjust it that much, but you know that the T-post is going to be in there vertically. So this one is in here perfect, and the height, the elevation is going to be good. But the best way to check that without taking like a practice photo is just like get the camera kind of set up and walk out like where you think the deer is going to be, and just see how the elevation looks. Like eyeball it and see if it's good. One other thing I'd like to point out here is that it's pretty important wherever you're going to set a trail cam to have it in a place you could set up to hunt. Like for example, when Nick hunted this spot a couple years ago, he had a tree stand up in this tree that we hiked in, and we put a tree stand in the tree right here. So we knew that if there was deer on the camera, which there ended up being some good deer on camera, that it would be a spot that we could actually, you know, go and hunt. And we set 2 other cameras today, and both of those, like, we eyeballed it a little bit before we even set it up. Like, okay, like if the camera does have good deer and we want to hunt it, is it possible to actually really hunt well, like from a pop-up blind or a tree stand or build a ground blind or whatever. So you kind of want to check all those things ahead of time, because yeah, it's great if you can get photos of a good deer, but if you can't like hunt him in any sort of like productive way, then there's kind of no point. So this camera we got set up. I do not like these cams, as I've said before, but whatever. We're gonna set it up, see what we get. All right, Nick, so you hunted San Diego with a bow for, I think probably 2 or 3 solid years.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about some things you learned in those couple years that gave you opportunity on deer? Like what are some things that really helped you to see more deer and have more opportunity?
Out in San Diego, obviously, like James has went over a bunch of times, we ran cams. In the spot that I hunted the most, probably the spot I hunted the most in a season. And we ran cams because obviously it's super thick. This is the spot. It's super thick, overgrown. Then it actually wasn't as bad as it is now. So definitely running cams, finding the trails, find out where they're cutting. You can find scrapes, set up on those. It's always good. So highly recommend running cams in San Diego, just because your chances of glassing them up out here, pretty slim to none. Also find out where the water's at. Whether it's a natural spring, whether it's a pond, check tracks, see where they're coming in, coming out, you know. I would say that's pretty valuable. Learn when to put blinds or tree stands. Pick your spots. If there's a good tree, set up a tree as long as you got good shooting lanes. Blinds, same thing. Either cut your own paths like we have done before. We put in a lot of time lopping branches off, clear, and out there with rakes, shovels 2 months before season. Just putting the work in. And that season we hunted the most, there was a big drought, so there wasn't much water, period. So what we did is we actually went and bought troughs, and you know, even though it was on public, it was hard to get to. We would pack our own water in and make sure that those troughs were filled. Every time we're going into check cams, we're bringing water in, and we're putting water there, and we're getting deer on cam. So we're also providing water to deer that are in the area that had a scarce amount of water. So I would say those are the biggest ones I can think of off the top of my head. It's kind of a hard question because you're on the spot and you just got to think about what you did over the years. That, and like I said, we've seen great deer in this spot, great deer that we didn't even know were here. And yeah, all those factors led to seeing those great deer and getting shots off on great bucks in San Diego County. So do the work, guys.
So just to add a little bit on top of what Nick said, he's right. Like, this is a public spot. You know, we came out here, drove out here, hiked down in, brought Reagan just for fun. But this is a public spot, and people always, you know, tend to complain and say, oh, there's no water and there's this and that. Well, like Nick said, you can bring water in and find a way to do it. It's not easy by any means, but hunting's not easy, especially in San Diego County. I mean, people always talk about it, but statistically, it's like one of the hardest zones in the nation to hunt. Like, that's a fact, on, you know, a numerical fact. So one other thing I wanted to touch on, though, that we did that I don't know if Nick touched on, was if you're running cams, right, and if you're building water holes attract deer, right? And if you build trails coming maybe to the water hole, or like build certain pathways like wider and more comfortable to walk on, those trails are now going to attract more deer too, because like I've said in the past, deer, like people, they want to walk the easiest path. So if you're going to put in a water, or you find a water, and you're looking around and you're saying, well, there's not really any good paths into here, build a path into there. And I guarantee you before long, deer will start hitting that path more than any other way in and out of wherever they're being attracted to. So don't be afraid to bring tools, build trails, and like we said, I mean, we're beating a dead horse, but put cams on those trails, put cams on the water you build, and let those be extra eyes. You can still be out there hunting, but those are extra eyes. And yeah, it's a tough zone to hunt, but like Nick said, it's not impossible. This spot we really didn't even know had deer, and like we had a lot of good deer here on camera, but it wasn't instant. Like, it took work and then the deer came. So don't get discouraged, stick with it. It might even take a few years. In fact, we've never harvested a deer in this spot. We could have. I mean, we could have shot does and smaller bucks, but we have chosen to manage this spot, and it's gotten better and better and better. So like, maybe this will be the year, but my point is we've been working at it for like 3 or 4 years, and we have not shot a deer. But that's not a failure, because the spot's getting better. The deer quality is better. As hunters, we're conservationists. The health of the deer here is now better. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but that's it. It's hard. Work hard. Alrighty, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. The main key takeaways from this video, once again, run cams, do work to make the deer like the area more, water, trails, stuff like that. When you set cams, make sure you can actually hunt it. And then other than that, I understand these first 2 videos have kind of been similar, but with that being said, now that I have 9 cams out, once we start getting back pictures, I'll take you guys through the next steps once I find deer that we want to pursue. So I'll take you guys along to check cameras, see the pictures, and then walk you step by step how you do that next phase, from having the pictures on cam to actually hunting the deer and giving yourself your best shot. So thank you guys. As you can see, we're a little sweaty. We put in a good amount of miles today. Steep, nasty, thick stuff. Must be nice. It must be nice. But yeah, subscribe, like the video. See you guys.